BYD has finally begun selling the Seagull EV in Europe, in numerous countries, I think 10 different countries. But because of the tariffs on EVs in Europe, it's way more expensive than I thought it would be. And in fact, it's more expensive than what it costs to buy a BYD Dolphin, which is significantly bigger in countries like Thailand and Australia and other places around the world. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. Great to have you with us. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. BYD have begun selling what they're calling the Dolphin Mini, but actually it's called the BYD Seagull in China. A little bit confusing, really, when it comes to naming. BYD is, let's be frank, they have so many models, so many brands, so many names now in different countries. I think that it'd be really good if they just stuck with the same naming structure to kind of clear up some of the confusion we're going to see. Anyway, they're calling it the Dolphin Surf. So the Dolphin Surf is actually on sale, just checked, in 15 countries, and it's BYD's 10th model in Europe. So not to get confused here, the BYD Dolphin is the next size up, and that Dolphin is on sale in Europe as well, but for some reason they've decided to call the BYD Seagull the Dolphin Surf in Europe. Pricing, it ranges from 23,000 euros, depending on the country, about 23,000 euros. And if you want the longer range version, that is 25,000 euros. So the base model gets 322 kilometers of range. The longer range version gets 507 kilometers of range. It's a huge difference. So for an extra 2,000 euros, you're getting nearly 200 kilometers more range. I'm pretty sure I know which one most people would be buying. If you purchase, apparently, before the end of June, you'll get a discounted price of 20,000 to 25,000 euro for these two versions. So they discounted the base model by quite a lot, by 3,000 euros, but the higher spec model, only 1,000 euros. Anyway, the discounted price does seem not so bad, 20,000 euros. That's pretty reasonable. In August 2024, though, BYD launched the 2025 Seagull in China, and in February, BYD launched the Seagull Smart Driving Edition with a price of $9,700 US. So really, the price has been more than doubled to sell it in Europe. Of course, shipping costs are a big factor, but the biggest factor is the tariffs. The European Union, their tariffs on BYD, in total, they are about 28%. The tariffs on BYD cars are 18%, plus Europe has a separate 10% tariff on all cars imported, meaning around 28% tariff. So that's a huge part of the reason why the price is 20,000 euros or normal price of 23,000 euros versus China's price of $9,600. In April, the Seagull was BYD's best-selling model, EV-only model, and one of the best-selling cars. In fact, I think it might have been the third best-selling car in China. It's selling quite well. The Seagull sold 55,000 units in April, contributing around 15% of BYD's entire monthly sales. So it's been quite a success for them recently. Now, looking at the actual battery sizes, the base model, it gets a battery which is a 30 kilowatt hour size. It's because it's a small car, it's still going to get decent range. So 30 kilowatt hour lithium iron phosphate blade battery. The longer range model gets a 43 kilowatt hour battery. Now, I should specify that the range claims are kind of confusing. BYD is saying that the bigger battery, the 43 kilowatt hour battery, will give you 310 kilometers of official range. But in cities, so in city driving, urban driving, it'll give you 507 kilometers. So yeah, a little bit confusing. The European version, though, is a little bigger than the Chinese version. The BYD Surf is 4 meters long. So it's about 7 or 8% bigger in Europe than what it is in China. So 4 meters long, 3,990 millimeters. That's 210 millimeters longer than the Seagull. It's 5 millimeters wider and 40 millimeters higher. But the wheelbase is exactly the same, 2.5 meter wheelbase. That's pretty normal. The BYD Dolphin in Europe and Australia and Thailand and Malaysia, that's also bigger than what it is in China, or at least it used to be anyway. The Dolphin Surf has 5 seats, and there's actually going to be 3 options in Europe. It's just that there's only 2 so far, and it sits on the E-Platform 3.0. It does use BYD's older blade battery technology. It's got 2 new versions of the blade battery that haven't yet gone into most of their cars. Those new batteries are only in the BYD Han and the BYD Tang. Everything else is still using the existing BYD blade battery. So the base model technically gets WLTP range of 220 kilometers. However, it gets a decent enough motor. It's got a 65 kilowatt motor, which is more than enough power for a car this size and weight. And I should also mention the base model Seagull in China. I know it's a slightly smaller car, but the base model is $7,870 US. Essentially, they're charging $12,200 more. Not far off. In fact, the RRP, the MSRP, is triple the price in Europe. That's a big difference. Imagine if in Europe you could buy one of these for $10,000 US. I think they'd sell literally hundreds of thousands of these cars. Now, I should point out that the higher spec car has more power. It actually gets a 115 kilowatt motor, which would give it plenty of power. So yeah, you can see here the base model, you're looking at a 30 kilowatt hour battery, 220 kilometers of WLTP range, and a 65 kilowatt motor. It's 20,000 euros, but when it comes out of this discount phase, it'll be 22,400 euros. There is a mid-spec model called the Boost that gets a 43.2 kilowatt hour battery, 322 kilometers of WLTP range, a 65 kilowatt motor, and that one is 23,400 euros, 25,400 when it comes out of this discount phase. The top spec model has the same size battery. It's a 43 kilowatt battery with 310 kilometers of range, a 115 kilowatt motor, and it costs 26,000 euros, but it will be 28,000 when it comes off its discount phase. So how fast can you charge this car? Well, the charge from 30 to 80% in 22 minutes. So charging is okay, not particularly fast. But AC charging has gotten a nice improvement. It's gone from 6.6 kilowatt charging AC to 11 kilowatt. The maximum DC charging speed has increased from 40 kilowatt to 65 kilowatt, and it's an 80 kilowatt charging speed on the two higher trims. In addition, inside you get a rotatable touchscreen, which is 10.1 inches in size, wireless phone charging, and two cup holders. So which countries is it available in? Well, it's going to be sold in Germany, the UK, Belgium, and a range of other European countries. But by the end of this year, it'll be on sale in most countries in the European Union. BYD currently makes it in China, but eventually BYD plan on building the BYD Dolphin Surf, and I believe also the BYD Dolphin, both models, in Hungary. And then BYD will be able to get around those 28% tariffs and probably sell these at I'm going to guess, a fair bit lower price, maybe 20% less money. What are your thoughts, guys? Is this a car you would consider? Do you think this is a car that is actually going to take on some of these European automakers and get market share in Europe? Or do you think what I think, which is it's just a little bit expensive for what it is? Let me know in the comments. Bye-bye.